His skin is white just like a ghost, thick Irish roots and his blonde hair. And he sounds like a Chicago superfan, a music nerd with a collection of CDs from here to there. Yes, Andy Dare is in Chicago, interviewing and barbecuing. It's the Andy Dare Show. It's the Andy Dare Show.
Welcome to the Andy Dare Show. This is episode 135. Today I am joined by nobody. There is no guest today. It is me, you, a whole bunch of cool stuff that we've been working on, and this is the State of the Union 2015. And yeah, I thought I'd do this every 6 months, just give you a little State of the Union address, bring you up to date on all the different stuff that we're working on here at Dare Network, and we're working around the clock tirelessly to bring you cool content. All we're asking you to do is to tell a friend and, check out the shows. And a lot of people have come on board since we started doing this podcast as a network. Previously, I had done it for 3.5 years by myself, just reaching out to cool people, cool guests, pretty much by myself. I had a couple friends helping me, but in 2013, we said, let's expand the brand and make this a podcast network. So we christened it Dare Network in September 2013, and since then I have been releasing weekly episodes by the J Porks Experience. That's out of Staten Island, New York City, and features rock talk, server life talk. He's a waiter, he's a concert goer, he's a funny guy, he's full of pathos. Check him out, follow him on Twitter at jporks and jporks.com for the podcast and notes. And then out in Hollywood, we got Tyler Kahl with the Tyler Kahl Show. And those are just shorter episodes. He's the king of celebrity doppelgangers. Check him out at dopspot.tumblr.com or dopspot.com. Follow him at Tyler Kahl. Then in 2015, January, I got an idea. I got a brand new copier/printer. And I also got the book Sub Pop USA by Bruce Pavitt, who owns the record label Sub Pop. They changed the world with Nirvana. They've been together, going out of business for over 25 years in Seattle, Washington. And yeah, this book collects all of his zines that he would create in the early 80s, just with a word processor, a Xerox copier, and sent them out all over the country. And eventually that zine turned into one of the most taste-making record labels of all time. So I thought, it's 2015, everything's digital, everything's on your cell phone, everything's here right now, then you get rid of it the next second. Digital flimsiness is how I like to describe the climate of 2015. So why not make my own fanzine? Why not make it about the guys who've been helping me with this network, Dare Network? And my house, I call it the Honeycomb Hideout, and I just made it my new zine. It's called The Honeycomb. And yes, the only way to get your copy of The Honeycomb is to contact me or Jay Porks or Tyler Kahl. There's no other way. You can't follow it. You can't like it on Facebook. You can't do any of that stuff. Talk to me. Send me a message. Give me your mailing address. And unless you're homeless, you have a mailing address. And you're not going to get spammed. You're not going to get anything like that. You're going to get one little copy a month. And it's totally free. And just want to thank the 27 subscribers that are, started from the beginning. There's only one issue out now. It's the February issue of the Honeycomb. We are working on the March issue. And so if you want to subscribe, just hit me up on Facebook or Twitter, or you can send me an email at andrewmartindarer@gmail.com. You can also call the show. Not only about the Honeycomb, you can just leave comments, questions, or concerns. That's 630-341-3022. Leave me a voicemail. Tell me what your name is, where you're located, and etc. And the Honeycomb. Let me go over what kind of cool articles we got this month. All right, we got Tyler Kahl with his article, Jonah Hill and Rebel Wilson, the same person, question mark? And that's just a really good little write-up. It's one of his most popular articles regarding doppelgangers. Then I did Get to Know the Paul and John, which is my article from Empty Lighthouse about Paul Myers and his musical project called The Paul and John. And they got a great album called Inner Sunset. Check it out now. It's out now. And I just do a little question and answer with Paul. Paul couldn't be a nicer guy. Totally cool, totally great guy. Brothers with Mike Myers, but he is his own talent, and he's a great songwriter. He's been doing it for a long time. It's a great album. Check it out, The Paul and John with Inner Sunset. And they can also be found at thepaulandjohn.bandcamp.com. Then Jay Porks gives us his live show review. It's Kasabian, a band I've heard about. I've listened to a few things, but I'm pretty unaware of, so it was kind of a cool thing that he would get this review in here. It's Kasabian at Terminal 5, New York City, September 27th, 2014. And that's via concertconfessions.com. It's a cool website where concert goers can just directly give their feedback about a concert that they go check out. And that's a great article. It's an interesting thing. You got more doppelgangers via Tyler Kahl. Then you got Superfan Dan. He's the newest addition. He's not yet an official member of Dare Network, but I'd call him a featured player like they did on Saturday Night Live. So, yeah, Dan's up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. He did an awesome piece of fan art, and it's called the Andy Rain Darer Network. It's a Christmas time thing. He turned it in right before Christmas. I want to thank Dan for taking the time out to making a cool drawing like that and sending it to us. And, just because of that, I would like to read a little bit of info about Superfan Dan. His real name is Dan Korhonen, and he does cool handmade fan art and animated cartoons out of paper, markers, and crayons. Sometimes his daughter helps him color them. Check out his fan art out on his Superfan Dan Twitter feed and Facebook page. He has an animated cartoon spoof on Naked and Afraid with Seth Rogen and James Franco, a Nerdist, a WTF mashup, a cartoon of Kevin Smith playing hockey goalie while Superfan Dan shoots VHS copies of Clerks and other Smiths movies at him, and Jack White Third Man Records cartoon, and a whole lot more. Just an interesting artist and a cool dude. He was inspired to be making fan art after meeting and interviewing Angela from the movie Catfish, and he lives nearby, or she lives nearby him, and she's a fascinating lady. He also does a Superfan Dan from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan podcast, and he has interviews with Jeff Daniels, who vacations up in the UP, and actor and friend Stephen Wigg, who worked with Metallica and who's worked with Sean Penn, Gus Van Sant, Paul Thomas Anderson. And he's interviewed me and a bunch of other cool people in the entertainment industry. And I think it's a cool thing because there can't be a lot of podcasts out in the UP of Michigan. So I think Dan is the big fish in a small pond. Want to thank him so much for the support and doing the artwork too. And do check him out. I mean, he also does acoustic music and everything's for free. Check him out, Superfan Dan on Twitter. I believe there's an underscore between Superfan and Dan. And keep an eye on Dare Network. Hopefully we'll be bringing him over soon. I just got to get a couple things worked out. And thanks, Dan, for all your support and help. And we'll be right back after this message from Jay Porks.
Yo, Jay Porks here from the Jay Porks Experience. Just here to remind you to keep it locked to the Andy Deer Show and all the other programming here on the fabulous Deer Network here in 2014. Jay Porks, Tyler Kahl, Andy Deer.
And we are back. Yep, no guests this week. This is the State of the Union 2015. Thank you for tuning in. And this week I was a returning guest on the Dig Me Out podcast. And I believe it's been 4 times I've been on their show, based out of Ohio. And it's a great podcast. They usually take one album and they devote an hour to dissecting it. They play tracks from it. They go over every single song. They go over the artwork, the recording of the thing. So basically this is my heaven pretty much, because as you know, I'm a music freak, and I like dissecting. I like knowing about the songs that people don't talk about. I like knowing weird facts about albums. So we hit it off, and I guess I've been working with them for a couple years now. And I completely dissected the album by Sugar called Copper Blue. I believe they're all up. You can listen to all of them. They're all archived. I dissected the album Teenage Fan Club, Bandwagon-esque, which is a classic for me as well. And then last year, I believe, last summer, we tackled Manic Street Preacher's dark 1994 classic called The Holy Bible. There's a whole lot of stories that go on behind that album, so I think that was a longer one. That was like an hour-and-a-half episode. And yeah, check them out, digmeoutpodcast.com. Follow them on Twitter at digmeoutpodcast. And it's on iTunes. Subscribe, rate, review, whatever you want to do. Tell a friend about them. But anywho, this week, it was the week where we did a roundtable discussion about Britpop. And it was me and two other guys, and also the guys from Dig Me Out Podcast. And it was a delightful chat. Britpop is near and dear to my heart. Right when I was really getting into music, a friend went to England and came back with a bunch of, import CDs, which if you were to buy them in a store in America, they'd be $30, $40, $20 for a single, stuff like that. So I obviously didn't get many of them, but my friends did. And this was before the internet. This was before pirating. This is a whole different era. I'm talking 1995 here. And, the internet was around, but there was no way that you could really discover music at the rate that you can now. There's no way that you could trade music. It was all about the compact disc. And, which I'm actually still on, but it's a long story. If you're a fan of the show, you've already known about that. And so Dig Me Out Podcast, we did a roundtable discussion on Britpop. How did we get into Britpop? What are our favorite groups? What are our favorite one-hit wonders of the Britpop era? As always, Tim and Jay from Dig Me Out, they do a great job. If you're fans of, Blur, Oasis, Suede, Supergrass, Manic Street Preachers, Pulp, any of those bands, check out this episode of Dig Me Out Podcast. You can't miss it. It's a great one. Check them out. Want to thank those guys for involving me. And yeah, I'm looking forward to doing it again later this year. So digmeoutpodcast.com. And another cool thing that we've been doing every Tuesday on my Instagram account, it is Tape Tuesday. And it's a little thing I've been doing. I put up a selfie of me or something like that. I get 4 likes on Instagram or whatever. And I took out my cassette collection. I'm like, geez, these are actually pretty cool. I guarantee they haven't been making these tapes for 20 years now. And they're awesome. So I'm glad I, kept them and didn't sell them, when I was low on cash. Glad I still got them in my office. So I took one out and I took an artsy photo of it on my desk, put that up, 38 likes within an hour or whatever. So, and that was the Nirvana Bleach. It's the black cassette. So check it out, Tape Tuesdays. It's a hashtag Tape Tuesdays every Tuesday on my Instagram account. This week we've got the Offspring Smash. I took a nice picture of that. I've had the Weezer's Blue album was last week. The week before that was REM, Automatic for the People. They had a cool green cassette. So yeah, it's just a little bit of ephemera, just a little cool little artifact from the days gone by. And follow me on Instagram. It's a really weird handle, but it's my name, Andy Darer. I'm able to get that on all the different social medias because I don't know of another Andy Darer, D-E-R-E-R. So thanks for checking that out. After this next break, I will come back and I will read you my latest Empty Lighthouse article. After this. This episode of The Andy Dare Show is brought to you in part by Uncle Bub's award-winning barbecue in Westmont, Illinois. Family owned and operated since 1997, Uncle Bub's is the real deal barbecue. A family-friendly restaurant open 7 days a week. Also, it's a full-service catering company doing weddings, pig roasts, luau's, grill packages, you name it. They have a friendly, helpful staff that will make sure that your party goes off without a hitch. Call them at 630-493-9000. Visit them at 132 South Cass Avenue in Westmont, Illinois, and UncleBubs.com. Hey man, I know you like grilling, I know you like getting those dark grill marks on your burgers, fish, chicken. And I know you don't want to just dry your meat out like you're cooking with a hairdryer. Why not get the Man Grate and click through the AndyDareShow.com's banner so we can keep the lights on here at Honeycomb Hideout Studios in gorgeous Westmont, Illinois. The Man Grate. This episode of the Andy Dare Show is brought to you in part by Record Utopia, a music lover's dream with thousands of vinyl records, musical instruments, and sound gear. They buy, sell, and trade. Give them a call at 630-963-1957. Visit them in Westmont, Illinois at 309 West Ogden Avenue, on the web at recordutopia.com. It's always a good, relaxed atmosphere. Check them out, Record Utopia. And we are back. Yes, if you want to learn about any of the stuff that we're discussing today at the State of the Union 2015, there's one place to go. AndyDare.com. It's a one-stop shop, not only for all the podcasts, but my articles, pictures, news of anything that's related to me and the Dare Network. AndyDare.com. It's a nice new site, relatively new. I made it last year. So, yeah, the AndyDareShow.com, that will bring you to all the podcasts, but AndyDare.com, that's for all the different stuff I'm involved in. And, yeah, it's been a minute since I read a album review of mine, courtesy of Empty Lighthouse.com. Want to thank them for letting me do articles for them. It's almost been a year. I believe it'll be a year in March. And it's a great website. I just do record reviews, but they write about everything and anything under the sun. And just once again, want to thank them for including me. So my latest piece, it kind of comes at a perfect time. We were just discussing Britpop. Gaz Coombs. It's a cool name, I know. He's got cool sideburns, cool-looking dude. Anywho, he's from Supergrass, an awesome English band that did great work from like 1993 to 2008 or 9 or 10, around there. Great albums like I Should Coco, In It for the Money, the self-titled Supergrass is great. Or Life on Other Planets is an amazing one too. Lots of classics. He's now gone solo, and yes, he's got a brand new solo album called Matador. It was just released last week, so I thought, why not write a review? And yeah, I'm going to attempt to read this thing. You don't realize how hard it is to read on microphone until you actually got to do it. I can spiel well, but I can't really read too well while being on the microphone, so bear with me. And yeah, without further ado, here is my article. It's called Album Review, Gaz Coombs, Matador, published February 2nd, 2015. British rockers Supergrass came out of the gate with a punky brashness that had little in common with their fellow Britpop compatriots. 1995 was a high watermark for Britpop and British music in general, with dozens of classic albums being released within months and weeks of each other. Supergrass's debut album, I Should Coco, stood apart from the pack with lightning-fast rhythms and cheeky ruminations on the condition of British youth. It wasn't quite a classic, but that made it endearing since it felt like Supergrass was a work in progress. The album guaranteed them opening slot status on numerous tours that year, and while nothing from the album crossed the guys over to the U.S., their debut music video, Caught by the Fuzz, did get lampooned on Beavis and Butthead, a sign that the guys were doing something right. As the years went by, their releases were highly respected by America, but no Supergrass song ever came even close to a hit. They didn't have the looks of Oasis or the genre-jumping eclecticism of Blur. 1997's In It for the Money was a song cycle that piled on cynicism of the music business, complete with huge soaring arrangements. 1999's self-titled Supergrass album meandered into psychedelia and dark side soundscapes. It is around this time that they began to be comfortable with their regional stardom. After a career-spanning best-of set, the guys from Oxford decided to go their separate ways in 2010. Gaz Coombs, the golden-voiced, mutton-chopped lead singer, could have gone the route of Damon Albarn and ventured into the highly fashionable hip-hop sound, or even dabbled in EDM. a surefire moneymaker in the 2010s. Matador, his second album, does neither. Gaz has challenged himself with a set of difficult, sophisticated compositions that often go off on unexpected tangents. Of a piece with Damon Albarn's 2014 solo set Everyday Robots, Matador uses technology to broaden emotional landscapes, but often finds an emptiness as a result. There are hardly any moments that rock on Matador, one of Supergrass's calling cards. Instead, there are chopped-up loops, bright synth stabs, and a huge dose of finger-picked acoustic guitar. Often finding a middle ground between electronica, that dated description, and dark folk, Matador finds Gaz sounding sharper than ever as a songwriter. The Girl Who Fell to Earth swirls with analog keyboards and Nick Drake-esque acoustic arrangements and ends up being one of Gaz's best songs since the salad days of Supergrass. It's hard to see it's not love when you're blinded by computer love. He sighs, maybe commenting on the complete ubiquity of technology in 2015. The English Ruse builds a head of steam with a hypnotizing krautrock beat and beautiful catchy melodies. Needle's Eye is the funkiest thing here, utilizing a dub production style and an exploding chorus laced with lovely female background vocals. My only complaint would be that Matador would have made more a splash if it was released, say, 10 years ago. The genre mashups and experiments on here slightly clash with Gaz's sophisticated and mature songwriting. This is the sound of a band leader completely eschewing what made him famous, and while that can be a brave move, it can also be slightly alienating to longtime listeners. However, his keen sense of exploration, partnered with a nice collection of melodies, impresses this longtime listener. I give Matador by Gaz Coombs 4 Empty Lighthouses out of 5. For more on Gaz Coombs, check out gazcoombs.com. And that is my latest article for EmptyLighthouse.com. Want to thank them for including me for the past year. To find out more articles that I've written, it's EmptyLighthouse.com/user/Andy Darer, and there is like the 20 plus articles I've written for them, and it's a cool website. Check it out. And just got a couple more things before we split today. Yes, it is a little difficult without a guest, but I've got enough stuff to talk about where, I can fill up 20 minutes quite easily. So, yes, just want to thank the past 2 guests that we've had this year. First off, Adam Casto. Check out his band, Nerd Table. If you're even a slight fan of grunge music, you should check out Nerd Table and their brand new EP called The Quest for Peace. And check them out. They're on Facebook, on Bandcamp, or on Reverb Nation, Nerd Table. And yeah, the EP has got collaborations with Chad Channing, who drummed for Nirvana, Tad Doyle, obviously the leader of the band, Tad, and who is rumored to be an upcoming guest on the Andy Dare Show. And also Paul Leary of the Butthole Surfers, and he works a lot with the Melvins. It's 4 songs. They're awesome. You can't go wrong with an EP that's got a song called Bitch Eat Baloney All Day. You really can't. So check it out, Nerd Table. And also want to thank Chris Conley for taking the time out to do an interview a couple weeks ago. Vocals for Ministry, Revolting Cocks, whole bunch of stuff. Sons of the Silent Age is his new Bowie tribute act that he's been doing for the last couple years. The guy looks exactly like him, sounds exactly like him. He's a Scot. He's a real nice guy. He's also a manager at Reckless Records, downtown Chicago. You should definitely check Reckless Records out if you've never been. They're a great time. Chris is a cool dude. He's got a new self-titled album coming out this spring. I will keep you guys updated. And just wanted to give a shout-out to those past guests. I think that is about all we got this week. Thank you so much for checking it out, for putting it up with my bad reading on microphone. All in all, the future looks strong for Dare Network, And I just want to thank everyone who's checked out a podcast or an article or told a friend about Dare Network or about the Andy Dare Show. We've been doing it for over 4 years now, and I couldn't have done it if no one liked it. So somebody out there is checking it out, and it means the world to us. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you on the flip side. This has been the Andy Dare Show, State of the Union 2015. Be sure to follow Andy on Twitter. That's at Andy Dare. And like our show on Facebook. That's facebook.com/The Andy Dare Show. Videos at youtube.com/Andrew Martin Dare. And we're on iTunes. Just search The Andy Dare Show. Please leave a review. Thanks so much to our wonderful sponsors, Uncle Bub's award-winning barbecue, Record Utopia, The Band Great, and Amazon.com. Theme song courtesy of Rich Banks Music. Thank you so much for checking out The Andy Dare Show. TheAndyDareShow.com.